So this movie exists in a sphere of darker children's movies, and people are getting on message boards years later and being, oh my god, do you remember this super dark kids movie, like sort of like a Watership Down or like a Last Unicorn or Dark Crystal.
Yeah.
This movie kind of exists in that same space because if you look at the cover, I mean, it looks like any other like generic kids movie, and if you look at the back of the box, it says Samson and Sally is a warm, funny, and gripping story of two young whales and their journeys through the beautiful but sometimes dangerous world of the ocean. So that just makes it seem like, you know, just your typical family movie, but it's a very fatalist movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of death.
Yeah, this movie is very death obsessed.
Mm-hmm. I was afraid you were hit. Let's get away.
Mommy!
Come on, Samson. We gotta find the others. You can't help her now.
And it was shocking, really, and what makes it more shocking is the juxtaposition between that and some of the sillier moments. Like, you have this 5-minute musical number that happens, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Like, they come up on these walruses, and they just, like there's no lyrics to the music at all. They're just scatting. It's like brain rot for like 5 minutes. And then after that musical number is over, Samson's like, all right, let's get out of here. So it's like the movie stops for that to happen.
Yeah.
It's getting dark. We'd better go home.
It's clear that there's moments where it's like, maybe somebody felt like, you know, put in something lighter.
Where's Mommy?
She's gone forever, little Samson.
Just get my hands on you.
The iron beasts are very fast and cruel.
So Samson finds Sally, right? And Sally is like, my mother was just murdered by these whalers.
She had been.
But she doesn't say it like that. She says it with like sort of the childhood innocence of, oh, you know, mommy stopped moving.
Their harpoons were flying everywhere. And then my mother didn't move anymore.
It's very like dour way to open your kids movie.
As funny as the musical number was, there was a lot of death in it. You had those barrels of nuclear waste and it would drip out and all of the fish would start floating up to the surface.
And it's almost played for laughs.
Yeah, I know.
And I mean, just like inconsequential scenes. I think it's a transition from one moment to another. They come across this octopus and it's just beating this fish over the head with a rock.
Yeah.
And it's just so brutal and like naked. Like, this is nature. The whole movie is leading up to Samson wanting to find Moby Dick, but Moby Dick is made out to be like folklore, this savior,
the killer of the Iron Beast,
right? This savior that's going to come back and put the whales back on top of the food chain. Because even Moby Dick mentions that when he meets up with him later on, is like, there was a point in time where I would take out these whalers and move about my day, but like, now I've sort of retreated into Atlantis.
Whales against men. In my youth, I could smash their ships with one blow of my tail, and the men would go flying up in the air. But that was a long time ago. Things were different then.
And he has this line where Samson asks, you know, has mankind always been so vicious? And Moby Dick says, mankind isn't vicious, mankind is stupid.
Mankind is not vicious, mankind is stupid. Someday man will realize what he's doing. By killing everything in the sea, he is killing himself. When the sea is dead, mankind will die too.
What can I do?
Go back to your herd.
And it's funny, after that, whenever Samson is leaving Atlantis and he goes across New York, and New York is already like, it's already just like under the sea.
It recontextualizes everything because it's like, oh, this is like a post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
This isn't a warning of things to come. This is like, this already happened.
But the human cycle, from the whale's perspective, just never ends because every time they see humans, they're still hunting the whales.
Right. I actually really like the look of this movie. You have all these painted backgrounds and a couple of key moments of really good looking animation. A lot of cool plays with perspective too. The whale coming out of the water and it follows him leaving the surface of the water and then it follows him coming back in.
Yeah. Another good one is when he's going to Atlantis, the camera stays behind him and you have like a few seconds of just like fish going by him, but he doesn't move. He's just swimming forward, you know, and you have like multiple different sets of fish go by him.
Yeah, or whenever he meets that whale that ends up being a corpse that he finds later on. This movie, man. When he first meets him, and he's having a conversation with him, and then it zooms into the white of his eye that becomes Samson, and then zooms back out to be the whale. It's like very like considerate plays on perspective.
Yeah, I really like how the lighting changes whenever they go underneath the oil as well. How you can barely make out the whales.
It's
but
just silhouettes.
Yeah.
And that scene where the one is like, I can't breathe, I need air, and then he goes up and suffocates, and then just falls to the bottom of the sea floor.
And they keep going. One clever thing was Samsung wanted to go towards where the sun hits the ocean, and when he gets closer up to it, it reveals that it's fire that's burning on top of oil in the water.
An oil slick has caught fire and you headed straight for it.
Oh, I thought it was the sunset.
I don't know, I mean, like, would you let your kid watch this movie? I mean, I guess that's the question is like, I mean, it's scary, but I don't feel like it's too far.
No,
it doesn't go further than like a Lion King. You know? But the thing that separates this from the Lion King or like the opening moments of Bambi, it is constant. Like it will constantly like remind you that like death is just a part of the circle of life. Whereas those are isolated moments in that movie.
Or the death is like a consequence of the mistakes of the humans. I think there was 2 whales that died from the oil, the big one and then one of the other ones. So I feel like if a child saw that, it would be like, okay, you know, maybe oil in the sea is not a good idea. When they first find the oil, they have that bird seeing the other bird trapped in the oil. Yeah. They don't even go to help it. It's no use, I guess. I don't know, but
it's not worth their time. But then, like, they're also they see that polar bear.
What a cute little bear! I bet he wishes he could be big like us.
And then they're just jerks. Like,
they
ruin this polar bear's day.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't think he liked that. And it's like, no. Why did you do that?
He didn't like that a bit.
And we've gone this whole time, and we haven't even talked about Sally, because she feels so inconsequential until it becomes when Samson met Sally, it's revealed that they have a relationship or like an attraction to each other. And then at the end, you know, it's revealed they have a kid and the legacy goes on or whatever. But that kind of came out of nowhere for me. Because Sally isn't much of a character in this.
Yeah. And then him leaving came out of nowhere.
Yeah. He was like...
She was like, are you going? He was like, yep. I hope I see you again.
Yeah.
Will I ever see you again?
Sure. As soon as I find Moby Dick.
And before we sat down to watch this, I thought this would have been picked up and released by Just for Kids Home Video, sort of as the counterpart to Little Mermaid, like the bargain bin counterpart. I can't think of a Disney movie that's anywhere near as radical in its like statement as this, you know, at least not this forefront with it. And even this release and researching into it, there are scenes that are cut out of this release. Like we didn't just watch the whole Samson and Sally experience. Like there are a few scenes that were cut. When going back and reviewing the footage, it seemed like there were 2 key scenes that were cut from the film. One of this polar bear dragging a bloody seal out of the ocean, and the other one of this bird defecating on the captain. Very bizarre movie, and I didn't know what to expect at all. I mean, I thought it was going to be like $5 bargain bin garbage, you know? But we came out of it with like a very unique tonal nightmare.
Yeah.
and a lot of visuals that are actually going to stick with me. Like whenever they're in the Iron Beast, there's the octopus inside of the piano and the keys are like its teeth.
Yeah.
A lot of like that whole segment would have scared the mess out of me as a kid. So going back to this after what's probably been more than 2 decades since the last time you saw it, how does this sit with you now?
Daggone, dude.
No, I'm listening to you. Go.
Yeah. Daggum, dude, that's crazy.
No, I'm listening to you. Go.
I don't think I would have understood this movie whenever I was little. But reflecting on it now, that I probably would have liked it still. This movie's very adventurous. They're always on the move. He's got a goal in mind, and he even finds his legend. So
it connects for a kid, but watching it now, through a different lens, you have a different appreciation for it, basically.
Yeah. It's just like this weird...
So why didn't you say that?
Huh?
The walruses are on the cover. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
They have the horns and it. Like,
and so are the killer whales.
Yeah, the killer whales, and they were scary, dude.
I bet you didn't notice that the S's were the whales.
Dude. You wouldn't say you were traumatized by this movie.
No.
But had you seen anything that was like remotely this dark and upsetting?
Not a cartoon.
Not a cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not something intended for kids, for sure. Just deliver a closing statement.
My fellow Americans. Well, all right.
All right. What'd you think about it?